Good morning, peeps, or hello to you whenever you find this video. In today's edition of the Witchcraft and Tarot series, I'm going to clarify offerings to Deity. I had one of you ask after the last video if I could talk about offerings. There are a plethora of books and other videos available if you are looking for a specific offering ritual to make to your deity of choice. But in this video, I'm going to talk about my experience with offerings and what I found to be the most powerful and meaningful offerings to my deity. So there can be a desire when we start this path, when we step onto this path, to kind of want a prescription on what to do in order to connect with deity in a meaningful way, which is completely understandable as we're, finding our own way in regards to building and trusting intuition and coming to understand, what is right for us on our path. And there is trial and error involved, and we shouldn't be afraid to experiment and to try new things. So by all means, what I'm about to discuss I am not saying that you shouldn't be working with prescribed ritual or prescribed offerings or something you found online or in a book that feels like it's something that resonates and you want to try. But what I have found most effective in offering to deity over the years is authentic and very personalized. So when I first connect with a deity or call in a deity, I will journey with them. And in the previous video, I discussed guided journey, and I will do another video in this series on guided journey or journeying or meditation with deity, however you would like to call that for yourself on your path. They're kind of all the same thing to me. I just say guided journey because it's, it tends to be more when you're doing this as work as well, something that people can understand when you say. So I will journey with my deity of choice, and I will sit with how it feels to connect with them, with what they feel like, with where we journeyed in my inner temple together. So for instance, when I work with the angel of death, Asriel, I first connected with him on a beach, and there was a lot of driftwood on that beach. And so when I choose to have a representation on my altar of him, or for a representation of him, and when I make an offering to him, I use driftwood, found wood from beaches, stones, shells, and sand from beaches that I feel a very close connection to. And those are the offerings that I make to him. When I make those offerings, I typically light a candle and burn sacred smoke and sit in front of the altar and contemplate and communicate with him. And that's how I make an offering. And I do that in the unique form for each and every deity that I work with. I will say I don't just make one offering and then not make another. Anytime that I'm working with them, or I want to communicate with them, or I feel called to sit in sacred space with them, I will put that representation of them on the altar that feels appropriate and make an offering to them. So what is the point of an offering? It's a gesture to the deity to show them that you respect them and that the relationship and connection, the communication, if you're only working with them for a finite period of time, has meaning for you. It's a sign of respect, and it's a sign of value. And they can be very, very meaningful. Offerings can become very, very meaningful for you. So I encourage you to explore making an offering and how that feels and how that builds the connection with your deity of choice. As I said, I will journey with them, connect with them first, see how they feel, and then I will bring things in to make offerings to them from there. Now, I do want to express this, and this is a personal opinion that I'm about to express. I don't believe in spending a bunch of money in order to make an offering. And also, I believe you need to ask permission to take anything from nature. So it, like, let's say I connect, let's use Azrael as an example, and I go to my favorite beach and I want to gather some sand to place in a jar to honor my connection with him, to make an offering to him. I will ask the devas of place, the energy beings of that place, if it is all right for me to gather that sand before I gather it. So I just want to express that. You don't have to spend a bunch of money. All you need is a simple tea light. You don't even have to invest in a pillar candle if that's not accessible for you. And you can use found things in nature. Just ask permission first, right? It's not about, I spent $500, therefore I value my deity more than you. That's not what this is like in this realm. Deity is here to assist us, and we are here to connect and work in unison with them on our path if you feel called to working with deity in this way. So it's not about how much money did I spend, did I buy the fanciest statue. That's not what this is about. You can do that if that's accessible to you and you want to, but that's not what this is about. So when you go to make that offering, ask permission from the beings of nature that you are gathering those gifts from. Offerings can also be a gesture or a sign of commitment. So you can do a blood offering if you're committing to deity, which you can do research on that. There's plenty of ways to do that. Again, I choose authentic offering. So, for me, if I'm going to engage in an offering that involves blood, I would sit with what felt the most appropriate way to do that. Maybe I use a needle and prick my finger and place a drop of blood on an offering bowl or offering plate in front of my representation of my deity, and I might express and engage in ritual signifying our union coming together for this work. So I would do something that I would sit with before I stepped into the offering ritual practice, but I don't tend to memorize and follow verbatim from other books. I prefer a personalized connection with my deity, so I like to sit with what feels appropriate and right for my work with them. So that's just how I do that, but you can find plenty of rituals online if you're looking for, union or communion ritual to engage in with your deity of choice. And the offering space is what you are giving to them in exchange for the connection and for their wisdom, for their energy, for whatever it is that you're connecting with them on. But the offering is really what you are giving to them. You expressing respect, expressing love, expressing gratitude for the connection. So just keep that in mind as you're approaching your offering work. And again, you can decide what that looks like for you. And as to go back to my example with Azrael, because we connected in that space in my inner temple when I journeyed with him the first time, that's a way that I honor how he feels to me and how we work together in sacred space. So anything that's Azrael related on my altar is going to be based in that. Just as another example, anything that's Isis related is going to feature malachite in some way. And it's going to be involve typically vulture feathers for me, and really be very steeped in the wisdom and the divinatory nature of the sacred feminine. So any kind of representation that feels like it's in alignment with that. I also have a white stone that I use that represents her, and that's on the altar when I'm working with her. So you want it to be personalized. You want to take your time thinking about this. Do some journaling around this before you step into it. And set an intention when you go into nature. If you're wanting to find something, take a moment to engage in, setting and uttering an intention that as you go on the sacred walk in nature, you're going to find something that it's acceptable for you to take from nature that would represent your connection with, say, Kuan Yin, if that's who you wanted to connect with. And then go on that walk, take that medicine walk, take that walk in nature. Be open to the signs that come through from your deity as you are gathering your offering for them. It's about looking at each and every moment as a sacred practice, and working with deity really affords us that opportunity. So I encourage you to take your time with it. If you feel like you want to explore other people's rituals and offerings, feel affirmed to do that. Of Blood and Bone, which I will try to remember to put the link in the spot in the description box for, is another wonderful book with left-hand path and dark magic offerings that you can explore if you are looking for a jumping off point from another practitioner. But feel affirmed in trusting your intuition. The most important thing is reverence and intention as you're approaching making offerings to Deity. I hope you are all doing well out there in the world. I am sending you so much love and many blessings, and I'll see you in the next video.